Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Ben. Ben is from England in the UK. So let's see what Ben has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I had quite a busy day. Interesting
Wow.
morning where my I messaged you halfway through the day saying I've had some issue with my emails. I only worked out this morning. I was like, oh, that's why my emails haven't been working for the past 4 days because there was like some weird issue where they got full and I had to kind of go back through the back end of the email software and delete them all. But yeah, nice. How's your day been?
Good as well. It's been busy. I love being busy. I think, I love going to bed feeling tired. Those moments when you go like, oh, I'm ready to sleep now. I love those days. So, yeah, it's been great. It's been great for sure. So tell me, what has been the highlight of your day today?
Highlight of my day, I've nearly finished my online course and I had my first supervision session with my new supervisor.
Wow,
So some cool, interesting milestones. So a nice little transition into the private world on both ends, which is really good.
amazing. And where are you from, Ben?
I'm from the UK, South Coast.
Okay. Born and raised?
No, that's an interesting question. I was born in Colorado Springs in America.
Okay.
Raised in Scotland for about 7 years, then moved down to this area, and I've been kind of up and down the country for a bit while studying and doing things like that. But I've settled in this area for now. But
That's
depending on
amazing.
how things take off, I might move somewhere else. So yeah.
And why did you change from the US to Scotland and England now?
It was a family decision really. So me and my siblings were born in the US, and our parents wanted us to grow up in England and have an English kind of upbringing. So when we were born, about 1 year old, we moved to Scotland, where my dad's kind of headquarters work was, and we kind of grew up there for a little bit. And when we got to about 10, we moved down here where mum's family are very close, and the those kind of schooling systems were a lot more up together because both my brother and I had dyslexia, so we knew that from quite an early age, luckily, and we kind of found schools that would cater to that, and luckily could flip what would have been quite a challenging experience into a very good one. As soon as we got into GCSE, we kind of knew what our strengths were and what our weaknesses were, and could do very well. So yeah,
Amazing. And your parents, they are British.
yes, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And what do you do for work for a living, Ben?
I'm a mental health occupational therapist, and
Oh,
I currently specialize in men's mental health. So I'm helping men with self-esteem and overthinking, particularly in the workspace.
wow. So let's start the interview talking about your career as a therapist. So tell me how everything started, your journey.
Oh wow, that kind of started when I was about 16. I was quite badly bullied and I had quite bad social anxiety. And there was this question in my head of what's going on with me? Is there something wrong with what I'm doing? And I was really the type of child who seeked a lot of understanding. And I had a lot of options as to what I could go off and do. And one of them in particular was writing. I was very good at writing and would escape into writing books and doing things like that. And the other one was acting. I was really good at these two kind of creative avenues. And everyone thought from school, well, like, that's what he's going to do. He's going to go off and do one of those two things. And I remember going to university with full intent of doing drama. And then they gave me the reading list. And as someone who was dyslexic, I was just like, oh, that's not possible. I cannot read through like 7 books in a month, let alone like the week time frame they wanted me to do it in. It's just like that's just not feasible. So I looked at what other interests I had, and the top of the list that was also quite practical was psychology.
Wow.
And I hadn't really cemented the idea of going into clinical psychology yet. It was kind of growing a little bit at that point because of my own anxiety issues and my desire to help myself, really. And I remember going into That's what I decided to do, and luckily got into Exeter, which was really lucky because I was meant to get three A's and I got two A's and a B, and for some reason they let me in. So I
Wow.
was like, "Oh, this is great! I can actually do this." So I got into the course, and I think in the first lecture they said only 10% of you will actually go on to do anything in clinical psychology,
Wow.
and I don't know if it's the way my brain works, but when someone tells me I can't do something, I immediately go, yeah, no, I can. So I just immediately thought from that day, no, I'm going to be in that 10%.
Wow.
And going forward, I did seem to have some kind of odd natural gift in the kind of clinical psychology area where I understood things that for a lot of people took them a lot of while to get, and for me it just seemed obvious. Like I immediately knew, yeah, of course, OCD is a variant of an anxiety disorder. Because why wouldn't it be? There were just things like that that I didn't need to be told. I just knew, and
Wow.
I kind of went through psychology, got to the end of the degree, and realized that a degree in psychology wasn't enough to get into any kind of clinical work. So I looked at my different options, and they I could go into CBT, but then that would take another. I think at the time it was a ridiculous amount. You had to work in clinical healthcare for 2 years, then do another 3 year degree, then do more, then do another kind of year placement, and it was just like that's going to take too long. So I did a diploma in hypnotherapy and counselling, and kind of got my grips to that, which is where I very quickly worked out I was very good at mindfulness, and I could do a really good hypnosis and really good kind of mindfulness voice, which
Wow.
just seemed to be something I was naturally gifted with. And
Amazing.
following that, I then did a master's in occupational therapy, which was more about exposure therapy and using meaningful activities as an actual tool for rehabilitation. And
Wow.
for me, this seemed a lot more practical than just the hypnosis that I was doing at the time, because I realized from my own journey with anxiety, as that was starting to improve, my own self-esteem was improving. I realized that it wasn't because I was going to therapy and doing all these hypnosis tracks and things like that. It was happening because I was taking action. I was going out and doing things about it. I was going out and performing magic tricks every night. I was pushing myself to engage in social situations that, like a month ago, would have made me feel really uncomfortable. And suddenly I could see myself growing because I was acting on it. And occupational therapy was the closest thing to that and at the time. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's see if I can blend this with the hypnosis stuff that I already do. And I came across while studying that another form of psychotherapy called ACT, or acceptance commitment therapy,
Mhm.
which is after about 3 years later, which I've now studied it and sort of done a couple of courses in it. That's now what I officially specialize in. So that's what created Mirror Mind Therapy, my own private company as a career, which I decided to build last year, and slowly have been kind of working out exactly who I want to target, who I want to help, and building that up from the ground up, which has been so far one of the hardest and most rewarding thing I think I've attempted to do. So
Wow.
yeah, I've missed a few bits out, but that's
I love your story. I think it's such an amazing, since young age, you kind of somehow you're following your gift, your intuition, you're following the way, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And you're proving yourself and proving others as well that you can just go on and you're just like literally getting out of, of your comfort zone or trying different things. And here we are. I think it's amazing for you to be able to explore that. I
yeah,
think we just need to follow our guts, you know what I mean? As you said, you just knew
yes,
it. You just knew
yes.
it, you know what I mean? That's
Like
it's
so
amazing.
much of it is that it so much of it is pushing myself out of my comfort zone, but then following your intuition. That's a huge
Totally,
part of it, because
totally.
you can get out of your comfort zone and really push. But if
Yeah,
it's all coming from up here and you're not fully in touch with the gut, in touch with all the emotions that are going on at the same time, you don't get the transformation that you're really looking for. And
totally.
so much of, especially in the last few years, the kind of intuition part has been the real the real focus where I've kind of pulled back on my own for my own journey, my own work. I've pulled back a bit on the kind of comfort zone challenges, so to speak, and kind of pushing myself that hard. And now it's
Yeah,
more. I will still push myself out my comfort zone, but it's all very much aligned with like, I mean, to go out and start your own private business, that's you're outside your comfort zone there. But the like so much of it's intuition based, and even the kind of lead up to kind of starting the private business and actually taking the leap from going from our UK National Health Service into private was very much down to intuition. And there were certain things that, as I was building this up, what I'm not even building up, but getting the idea to do it, certain things were just kind of popping into my awareness, like
totally.
the fact I wanted to focus on intuition and study acceptance commitment therapy. And even the name, I remember coming to me in a really kind of oddly synchronicity style way, where at the time um, I just read a really good book by Michael Singer called Living Untethered, which is a really powerful spirituality book where he basically teaches you how to connect with life, how to connect with the Tao, this kind of flowing force, and how this is more powerful than anything that we could really try to consciously do. And having quite a large experience in meditation at that point, I was like, okay, let's give this a go. I can tap into my gut. I can feel what my intuition is saying to me. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about when he says it's flow. So I kind of
Yeah,
tap into this, and um, suddenly my impulses guide me towards a lot of videos on the samurai and how they were trained and how they were taught. And I remember listening to an Alan Watts video on what was called no mind, which is Mushin in Zen Buddhism. And Mushin is effectively this mind of no hesitation, this mind of no deliberation. And this was something that they trained the samurai to do, but they couldn't do it through meditation because they didn't have time.
right.
So the masters came up with a really interesting game as to how to get them into this state where they would basically, after the training, after they'd been training all day, they'd go around and clean the school. And while they're cleaning the school, the master would just come out with a practice sword and just hit them from anywhere. And they would just expect to defend themselves with whatever they had available. So at first they're really anxious walking around going, oh, where's the master coming from? Is he going to be around that corner? Is he around that chair? And I think he's going to be over there. And they prepare themselves fully ready to go in this direction. And then the master comes out and hits them from behind. And after a while, they just completely give up. They stop trying to predict where the master's coming from. And it's at that point where they enter this mind of no expectation. They're not trying to think into the future. They're just purely present. They're just going around cleaning, not really caring whether the master hits them or not.
Wow.
And the other word that they use to describe that state, rather than no mind, because it doesn't translate that well into the West, because it thinks it means you're stupid or you're gormless or you don't think. So the West translation is mirror mind, where you have a mind that reflects the environment spontaneously as it is. And that just kind of stood out to me, and I was like, yeah, that's the
The name.
name.
Yeah, I think this name followed you. It meant to be there
Hmm.
for you. You know what I mean? Somehow. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like it's popped in and out of my life at like
Yeah,
these kind of really pivotal moments. So
amazing.
yeah, it feels like the name and what I do and how I do my work. It feels more like it chose me rather than the other way around.
Ben, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through memories in life and share your point of views?
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh, do
amazing.
it.
Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Wonderful questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just first relax before the first question, okay? Silence, all right? Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the interview, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Hmm.
Amazing. First question is, what does money mean to you?
Oh wow. That's an interesting question. My default answer, the thing that immediately came to me was freedom.
Okay,
But and I want to kind of clarify that in a way where um in terms of how it feels when I receive it. But at the same time, there's a lot of barriers to me wanting to receive money. So I feel like it's not just a oh I have a lot of money I'm free. It's more like my internal capacity to be able to receive. So the bigger that becomes, the more free I am. Therefore, the more I'll get. So that's why I feel like it for me. It kind of it feels like freedom. But it's more like for me the internal capacity to hold money is more important than just the amount someone has in their bank account.
and do you believe that money can bring happiness?
No, no, I don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe it can bring happiness. I believe it can give you the tools to create your own happiness, but
Right.
it can give you the ability to send you on a journey where you'll find happiness. But I don't think it's the direct thing that gives you happiness.
And do you believe that happiness is a choice?
Yes,
Tell me why.
because I believe that all emotional states that we experience to one degree or another are a choice. And that's something I've come to as I've kind of developed in my own psychotherapeutic practice. And particularly, there was a moment in my life when I started to learn the real sense of what I feel is acceptance, which is this ability to feel okay no matter how you are, no matter what's going on. And the idea of acceptance is that you can accept not just what's happening around you, but what's happening inside as well. So when you feel a certain emotion, you can create, let's say you feel a sense of fear, you can create a sense of space and a sense of capacity to hold that fear. And when you create that space around it, the fear itself dissolves. And from that point, you have a choice. Do you either allow yourself to feel the fear and act anyway? Or do you actually choose a different emotion entirely? So from that perspective, it's a choice. And to go one further than that, to let's say like you could develop, and I have to a point got to an ability where I can choose to be happy. And I recognize it's not actually it equally has its as many limits as being stuck in a place of fear. I even have a a patient who they experience more happiness than fear or sadness,
Right.
and they were saying like, "Why is this so different?" It's like it's not different. Any emotion that you feel to an excess is going to have its limitations. Most people we work with have excess of sadness or fear. You just happen to have an excess of happiness, but it brings just as many limitations.
I
So
see.
yes, happiness is a choice, but it's not, it doesn't mean to say that you want to stick there forever. You want to experience every emotion.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, what's the most meaningful gift have you ever received?
Most meaningful gift I've ever received. Uh, I suppose, yeah, yeah. Actually, no, nothing's going to top that. Life.
Okay.
when I was when I was born, I was born with knotted intestine and a load of other conditions. To such an extent that the doctors said that I was effectively almost certain to die. I had like a 98% chance of dying
Oh,
before the age of 14. Um, but they was pretty certain that I wouldn't get to three. So it was almost like certain that this wasn't gonna be my time. To the point they actually said to because we were triplets, they said to my mum and dad, well, at least you'll have two children. It's to that degree. And yeah, I survived. I proved it wrong, and there seems to be this part of me that feels that just that wasn't accidental. And I think a large part of why I tap into my intuition and why I feel it so strongly and why I can sometimes feel and to a degree almost see the flow of life moving in front of me is partly connected back to that moment.
For sure.
Because
No doubt. I have no doubt. Yeah. Carry on. Sorry, carry on.
yeah, so that's why I feel like the life I have is a gift. It wasn't a guarantee from the moment I came out of the womb that I was actually going to survive that long. So
Amazing.
to that degree, it's been yeah quite a journey, and now I'm 30. So
What's the biggest joy of being Ben? What do you like the most about being you?
oh, biggest joy of being then. Um, there are moments in my life where I feel like I'm free to just be me, to let every single mask, every single part of my profession drop away.
Mhm.
And I go on different retreats and different experiences where I can tap into that version of me a bit more. And I remember specifically there was we were doing this exercise and kind of developing or bringing out our inner child, and we were kind of going around running, playing tag, and doing things like that. And suddenly, this pure feeling of it was joy. There was joy there, but it was more than that. There was like this pure essence of this is me, and I feel like the best thing that I offer is this inner cheeky, very witty version of me that, because of what I do and sometimes the heaviness of it doesn't get to see the light as much as it ought to. I know whenever that version of me starts to come up to the surface, then it's a really good sign because you can't experience happiness, you can't experience like I said, that kind of flow of life moving through you without humor. That's like a very important part of it. So if you're able to access humor, then you've got you've got it, whatever that is. So yeah.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, before the next question, what's the biggest joy of being a therapist about helping men regarding, mental health? What do you like the most about it?
The How do I phrase it? It's like the journey that you see someone go on.
Hmm.
So for every single person who I who I see come through the door, regardless of what state they're in, I have the absolute belief that I can heal them, that I can help them, that I can allow them to access the life that they deserve. And there's that kind of very strong belief that that can happen for them, and a large percentage of that is up to them and the work that they put in and what they realistically want to get out of the sessions. But I can I can always kind of pinpoint and see the person's inner potential. I can see emotionally where they can get to. I can see in terms of their relationships, their life, their work, the sometimes not even that doesn't even mean it changes. That just means their perception of it, their experience of it changes. I want that to be as fulfilling as possible.
Hmm.
And a large part of that is people think, oh, I want, and they normally will. They come and say, I want you to get rid of my anxiety. I want you to get rid of my fear. I want you to do this, yeah, get rid of all of this stuff. And you're like, yeah, no, we're not going to work on that because it's like, but I really couldn't give a crap about that. It's like, I don't want you to get rid of the fear. I want you to be able to handle it. I want you to be able to experience it because the more you can experience that, the better and more expansive your life is going to become. So
Right.
I always want to give someone the most expansive life they can have, and I've got absolute belief that I can help the person get there, which is interesting because it's not always, how can I say it? My belief that I can help someone have the most expansive life possible isn't always equal to my ability to do it, but I'll always side on the air of optimism until I'm effectively proven wrong. So even no matter how outlandish the case the client I'm given is, there's always this kind of sense of challenge, the sense of kind of yes, let's do this. Like I can get the most obscene cases, especially in the National Health Service, come through where my manager's amazing. She's been in the NHS for uh, over 30 years, so as long as I've been alive, pretty much, and she's seen everything. So yeah, so I get some very complicated cases, but I never lose hope that
Wow,
I never lose hope in them.
amazing. Okay, next question is, what makes you most uncomfortable about dating?
Oh, um,
Are you in a relationship right now or you're single?
single. Last relationship I had ended not last December, the December before,
Okay,
and what makes me there was definitely a lot of uncomfortable moments that I wasn't really ready for with this person. Um, I think relationships in general, especially from that last experience, but every experience I've entered, the thing that makes me most uncomfortable about the relationship is also the reason why I feel like they're so necessary, which is so far I've not experienced anything that can reveal my insecurities faster than a woman. Like
okay,
faster than the relationship, it will bring up things that you think you've overcome, and the relationship will actually very clearly show you that no, you haven't overcome this at all. You've just suppressed it, you've just buried it. And for me, that was the most uncomfortable part of that previous relationship was working out just how many things I'd because I had no reason for these things to rise up again. I got myself to a very comfortable place and but not necessarily a an expansive place apparently. So suddenly I have this relationship with this absolutely beautiful woman who can bring out things in me that I thought were healed, that I thought were integrated, that I thought were processed, and suddenly very quickly realizing, oh, as you're not as put together as you thought you are, and suddenly having to reconcile with that and really practice what I preach and use my own skills back on myself to expand, and uh, yeah, and I think to kind of really sum it down, the part that made me the most uncomfortable was feeling like I couldn't be myself in
mhm,
that particular relationship, which I feel like is something very important that I want to feel like I can experience within the next relationship I get into. Is that that kind of inner child version of Ben that I mentioned before, is to allow that person to take the lead more often than not in those circumstances. So yeah,
tell
so
me the very first time that love hit you, that felt like, oh my God, now I understand the meaning of love. Now I understand those butterflies that people talk about, that it just hit me. Do you remember?
oh
Can you share?
um
It doesn't need to be a
I,
romantic love. It could be, sometimes you just feel these butterflies in your tongue. It could be anything.
yeah, I remember, especially with that previous one, there was a very clear moment, which was it was so succinct in my head where um I knew very much from the first not first moment I met this person, but after the few days we kind of spent together, I knew that I liked this person,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of bold enough to kind of go out for a few walks with them, then get them on a date. And luckily, they kind of came all the way from London to see me very quickly, which I was really surprised about. I was like, okay,
Wow.
there's some like that whole idea of life being on your side. It's like, well, if that's life on my side right there. There was no way that this should have happened as easily as it did, unless I was supposed to learn something from this, and I definitely was. And I remember the first yeah, the first moment that she She shared my bed, and there was this like amazing amount of intimacy that I hadn't really experienced to the depth that this person was able to offer me,
Wow.
and it was really profound to such a degree that I hadn't experienced that. I'd slept with people before, I'd been with people before, but I'd never experienced anything like that.
Wow.
And I remember kind of going out the day after and taking a walk along the beach and with the sunset,
Wow.
literally with this sense of that's it. If I it was literally one of it, like there only you only get several moments of these in your lifetime, and it was one of them where you're like, I could die right now, and I'd be completely fine with that.
Wow.
It was to that degree.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
she was a very special person, very challenging in her in lots of ways, which is why we never ended up kind of being able to make things work. But um, yeah, very special person.
And I love that because, people they cross our lives, they leave a mark. Sometimes even people go like, oh, why the relationship didn't work out? Actually, it did work. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It always works. It just, people, we know sometimes, most of the time, we grow in a different ways. Through my life, I understand that, I remember when I was a teenager and I remember like learning about life. And I remember somebody mentioned to me once, William, some people, they come to your life and sometimes the older you get, some people they just go. And I remember like I was like, no, those people gonna be in my life forever. I cannot see them, out of my life, like friends or people around me. And I was so wrong because people they just go. And actually it's not wrong with that. It's healthy because people they somebody told me in the interview here, and I forget, somebody said, William, some people they come to your life for a moment, for a
a
time,
reason, a
for a reason.
reason, a season in a lifetime.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it's so true. You know what I mean? And it's so like, it can be sad sometimes because when you meet some people, you're just like, oh my God, I wish this person can be forever. It sometimes doesn't work and it's okay. Other people gonna come and gonna cross our lives. But I get your point. Some people, they just leave marks in our lives, even though they're not around anymore. But those memories always gonna be there. And we meant to have this cross past because it just left some mark. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes challenge, sometimes beautiful, sometimes, and that's the beauty of life. It's not about people living life and crossing our paths for different reasons. I get that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. 3 questions left. Let's do it. Hey Ben, next question is, how would your best friend describe yourself?
Um, oh, how would my best friend describe myself? I think how did how did James and Mike think? Um, there, I don't want to use the word accepting because I'm pretty sure that's how I view myself, not how they view me. Um, but yeah, I remember one of my best friends, Mike. He described me as having a lot of, in terms of like the masculine qualities. I remember he kind of said to me like, you've got a lot of king energy, you've got a lot of sovereign energy, where you want to you like you want to protect, you want to look after people, you want to kind of hold space for them. So there's definitely that, and a lot of people uh, a lot of people refer to me as being very gentlemanly and very cheeky. Which, when people first started saying that, I didn't believe them because I'd suppressed so much of that childlike cheeky energy. And then suddenly, when I started to accept who I was and like who I was, I started to see it coming back through, and I was like, oh yeah, no, this very much is me. And yeah, there's a lot of I have a lot of wit, but then also a lot of I suppose knowledge, intelligence. I remember I used to have a mug that said "I drink and I know things," And one of my ex-girlfriends said, like, this is just you. She didn't know, like, it was a quote from someone. She didn't know it was a quote. She was just like, that's
Wow.
just you. You just you just seem to just know things, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. I'm pretty sure people at work think that's well, where I know things, but I know too much to the point where I I focus too much on theory, too much on what's going on up here, and it's
Right.
why it's why I think I had to develop so much my intuition, because if I hadn't, I'd just be stuck up here the whole time, and there's not a nice place to live. It's quite closed off.
Tell me a friend or person in your life that when you're feeling the lowest, this person comes to your mind for you to share or to open up a little bit. At the same time as well, the same person, when you're feeling the happiest, this person comes to your mind for you to, share the nice energy. There is someone that comes to your mind right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. My friend Mike, we've been friends since when did it, when we, yeah, when I was 23, I met him. So
Wow.
I'm 31 tomorrow. Um, so yeah, we've been friends for quite some time, and he's always the if something important happens, if I need to share something, if I want some of he's got a very he's quite like me. He's got very kind of spiritual Taoist like energy. So if I want some of more of that, then I'll speak to him. And he's the type of person that I can talk to about everything and do it in a way where I don't feel like I'm going to be judged for it at all. So I can just turn all the filters off and just say whatever's on my mind.
Wow. Okay, so he's watching this interview right now and have a moment, an opportunity to send him a message. What would you say? He's watching?
I mean, he's just such an amazing friend. It really is such a such an integral part of my life as well.
Wow.
He's gone off to so many different countries, but I feel like he's always there for me, regardless of where he's in the world, which is a very special quality to have. So yeah.
Um, Great. I think friends like relationship, you don't go around saying, oh, you're gonna be my best friend, you're gonna be my best friend. It doesn't work like that. It's
Mm.
like a relationship and the connection fits, that's it. It just happened naturally and magical. Amazing. Two questions left. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, what is a significant event that has changed you?
Significant event that changed me the most was learning how to learning how to let go, basically. Learning how to and I mean that in both in the, I suppose, spiritual sense, because I don't think you can do it in a way that isn't spiritually profound, but literally there's a psychological exercise you can do where you learn how to somatically do it from the body, and that completely changed me for, well, actually, I wouldn't, it technically didn't change me, it just revealed who I actually was. So I had so much shame and shame and fear around who I was the time when I was being from the time when I was being bullied and growing up and going through university, and just constantly feeling like there was always something wrong with me. And I remember doing this somatic exercise with one of my coaches, which was around letting go from the body. And he told me to feel down into my chest, feel down into my stomach, and imagine that these areas could open like a door or a window. And then he just asked, can you let go of 1% of shame? Can you let go of 1% of disapproval?
Wow.
And I, amazingly, I was like, actually, yes, I can. I can actually let this go. I can release this. I can and he did it in a way where he got you to welcome it first. So again, you create that capacity, you create that space for it. So you're not trying to get rid of it. You
Mhm.
literally welcome up that this is here. This is, and you almost integrate it. So you're letting go of this approval and realizing there's nothing wrong with you. So it's literally that shadow work of integration where the parts that you've shunned, the parts that you've pushed away, the parts that you think are unacceptable, you suddenly realize there's nothing wrong with them, and you realize that actually you are completely acceptable.
Wow,
And that shift was huge to suddenly realize that I I could like myself just as I was was massive for me.
wow.
And it completely changed how I showed up in social situations, how I delivered everything that I said. I mean, I wouldn't be speaking in the tone, in the way that I am now to you if this event hadn't happened. There would be
Wow.
so much less of me present. So yeah.
I love that. And I can feel you describe it now. I can feel the moment. My goodness, imagine the explosion, in your personality, in your well-being,
Yeah.
knowing it's amazing.
It,
Wow.
it was like a weight that I just lifted off, and I was
Yeah,
suddenly free to be me.
yeah,
And this had been building up. This was 25 when this happened, so this had been building up for 25 years. Where maybe I definitely was myself. Probably from I'd say 0 to like somewhere in the age of 7. Probably I was being me, but then at some point after that, who I was just got buried by trying to be what I thought other people wanted. And
totally.
then suddenly, just being able to let that go and just be who I was without trying to, yeah, without worrying what other people thought was, yeah, truly amazing.
Great. Last question. Ready?
Hmm.
Let's do it. Let's fun. Before the last question, talking about mental health, maybe men, guys watch this interview right now, and they are in a trapped in a situation, in their mind that they think that there's no way out, or maybe they are, mental health is a big thing. Nowadays people they talk more and more. People like you spreading this our awareness around the globe. I just think it's amazing to be able to help others. Men is being raised in a society that we need to be strong and we need to be this stronger figure, not showing being vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerability
Yeah,
and
yes, vulnerability. And I think nowadays, people they are breaking these stigmas. I think it's such a beautiful thing to see a man asking for help. It's a beautiful thing to see a man crying. It's so beautiful to see a man showing that asking for help is such a big sign of being strong. But
mm,
sometimes, we can get trapped in our mind. We are human being. Sometimes we can go through that. So my question for you is: people, men watching this interview right now, maybe they are trapped, in their mental health for any reason. What would be your best piece of advice right now for them?
best piece of advice would be to firstly embrace the emotions that you have, feel into the emotions. So to really welcome what like all the pieces of you. So there's like you said, there's so much conditioning around, especially us men, as to how we should behave, what that should look like, how others should uh, respect us as a result of that. And a lot of that actually just pushes away very, very vibrant, very real parts of us. So the first step is that awareness of looking at the parts of you that you don't think you are acceptable. So doing that work and exploring that. And the other part that I really love training in my work is decisiveness. So when we get to a certain point where we're trying to be everything for everyone else, we forget how to be decisive in our own actions, our own decisions. And that kind of ties back into the samurai story where I have a way of training that decisiveness into people so they start to trust their own judgment, their own decisions, and
Mhm.
again develop their own intuition rather than rely on external feedback or rely on external results from what's going around them to kind of gauge their success. It's more built from that intuition from within. And so developing your decisiveness is another key factor. And you can do that in the most simple way. So the way that I train it is we have what's in acceptance commitment therapy called the choice point, where you have kind of a question, and then you've got kind of it spawns off into left or right. So red pill, blue pill, basically, it's that matrix style question. And we go through different questions, and the idea is that you answer as quickly as possible. And when you get used to kind of doing that, you start to trust a bit more in your own decisions. And when you kind of, let's say it's coffee or tea, cat, dog, sword, spear, shield, stone, like, and you start to go this. Once you get good at that, you then go, okay, we're going to go, I'm going to say cat, dog, but you have to say a third one that's not there. So you really start to tap into that intuition, you tap into your spontaneity,
Wow.
and it builds this kind of real sense of trust in your own decisions. And I remember when this started to kick in for me, I'd suddenly start making, I'd be on a date and they'd be like, oh, where do you want to eat? Oh, let's go there. And you just make it instantly, and you just knew that's where I want to go. There was no
Amazing.
kind of second guessing. So yeah, feeling into the emotions is key, but then developing that decisiveness, that's also a key part.
Amazing. Last question, Miss. What is one belief you had to unlearn in order to reach the level you are at today?
I had to unlearn that. How can I phrase this? Confidence is a confidence. I used to believe that confidence was about what you said,
Mhm.
and I had to unlearn that and realize that confidence is it doesn't matter what you say, it matters how you say it. You can say whatever you want, but if you say it from your gut, it's going to land. You can do the opposite and say the most smooth, classy thing from your head, but if it's if you're saying it to try to get a reaction from someone, it's never going to work, and it will never be confident because you're never actually showing up as you. So that
Wow.
was something that I had to really do a lot of work to unlearn because I learned a lot to develop my confidence in that very heady based way.
Wow.
So I learned so many different lines, so many different uh, of things you could say to make yourself appear cool. And suddenly, it was at that moment when I started to kind of develop my own inner acceptance and like myself and really recognize that all these parts I thought were bad are not bad at all. There's nothing wrong with me. It's when I started to develop that when I suddenly went, oh my God, everything. It was literally like, it was like this classic Matrix moment of everything you've learned has been a lie. None of it actually works because none of it's authentically you. So I had to do a lot of work on unlearning that. Actually, this doesn't make you more confident. If anything, it makes you less confident because the more you rely on it, the more insecure in yourself you technically are. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Right, not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to say some words, just tell one word that comes to your mind. Based on the same game you did before. Let's see how good you are on that. Right. Let's start with money,
Object,
fear,
power,
family,
loyalty,
life,
vibrant,
love,
emotional,
religion,
spirit,
sex,
pleasure.
politics.
That would be the answer. Just a flatness.
Okay. Friendship,
Love,
desire,
loving, desire. Oh, beauty,
regret,
hard,
success,
choice,
wish,
trust,
happiness,
choice.
one word for England,
For England,
Yeah. Or is it?
rigid. Rigid. I think that's the best word I can use to describe us.
Okay.
Rigid.
One word for mental health service.
Empowering.
One word for therapist.
Caring.
And the last one now. Mirror Mind Men's Therapy, the name of your business. One word.
Samurai.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend, the one you mentioned in the interview, for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, define Ben in one positive and one negative word only. What he would say about you.
In one positive and one negative word.
Yeah.
Ambitious and
That's negative or positive? I'm joking.
yeah. It's both. Yeah. That's why I'm struggling to think of the negative because I can imagine him saying ambitious and putting it as both because yeah, it is because I can see him going, oh, he's got all these wonderful qualities, all these wonderful thoughts, and how he wants to live, how he wants to proceed. But at the same time, the ambition itself is the thing that can stifle him.
I see. Let's play now, Ben, and the magic box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, Ben, you can ask me a question now.
Okay. What's the what's the most memorable moment of your life so far?
Wow, what a great question. My God, I could tell you so many, Ben. Oh my God, my life I've been so fortunate that, I had so many moments that, you know, I, I'm so grateful for it. Not just good, but bad as well. I'm so grateful for those moments because but the first thing that came to my mind straight away, as soon as you said about memories, my very first day at school. I was so excited. I have this memory, like vivid memory of me holding hands with my colleagues and going to this classroom for the very first time. And I'll tell you why. Back in Brazil, I had, growing up, I had a cousin. She's older than me, 3 years older. And when she started going to school, every year I was like crying because I want to go as well. And I couldn't because I was underage. And I remember 1 year before I went to school for the very first time, my grandmother asked her teacher, the head teacher, if I could attend at least the first day at school with her because I was crying. I want to go there as well. And I think my mom had a picture of me with her. She was so moody because she didn't want me there, of course. And I was there like this, looking, like smiling, looking the teacher. And I couldn't understand anything because I was so young, but I just wanted to be there. So next year of my first day at school, I was so excited. And for me, it was one of the happiest day in my life because it's something that I wanted so badly and just being there, I remember my first teacher. She was my hero at the time because everything she was teaching me, I was fascinated about it. Fun fact: halfway of my school, my first year at school, um, she needed to leave because she was pregnant when she started school. And so halfway, she needed to leave course. And my mom was so worried that I would lose interest about school because I was so fascinated with her. And actually, I didn't because another teacher who came to replace her, I got connected straight away as well. I remember her name, Marcia, her name. And she was so lovely. She was so, cheerful. And I think maybe my mom made a comment with her as well about me because, I don't know. I'm just wondering now because somehow I connect with her. And I finished my first year at school happy. So yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was that day because it was just a simple day, but for me meant a lot at the time because I was so happy that I would start something that I just wanted. I don't know why, I don't know how this fascination about school came to my mind or to my life, but I wanted so badly. And so yeah, I would go for this. I could tell you so many moments in my life, but this one, it was one of the most memorable because I just want so badly. And I remember, like as an adult now, I remember so vivid this moment. I'm talking to you, and I can picture myself, at that moment. So yeah, I would go for it. Yeah, for sure. My first day at school.
Nice.
Did you enjoy the
Yeah.
interview?
Yeah, good. I was actually was gonna ask. I mean, you seem such a vibrant person, and where do you feel like you've picked that up from? Have you always been that way, or?
Good question. Good question. And if I go into what I get emotional, I think, Ben, I've been very fortunate that, back in Brazil, I come a very simple family, working class family. I never had luxury. I never had anything. However, I always been so like happy. I remember like going back. I was so fascinated about living life since a young age. It's something that's always been with me. It's something that I see life in a way that's a gift. I have my bad days, of course, like everybody else. But I don't know. I just like to live life. I like to be here. I see life as a gift every single day, and not something that's I put in my mind to follow. It's just something natural for me. I
Mm.
just like to. For example, this is the best will anyone can have. When I'm here doing the show, that's why it's this thing in the air, this vibrant thing. It's just because I'm so happy being here, connect with people around the globe, that it brings the best William, literally, just the best William anyone can have. When I'm here doing the show, it's just, I feel so happy to be here, like listen to people, connect with people, learning. You have no idea how much I've learned every day talking to people
Mm.
here. So I think, imagine when you're learning, oh, actually, it makes sense now back to school the first day. I want so bad to
Yeah.
learn. And I'm here learning every day when I'm here doing the interview. So imagine, this actually I never thought about that. It just made me now connect something that I never connected before. So this young William, 5 year old, going to school for the very first time, I was excited. So I think the same William as here now. I think something about learning that always um, gets my attention. When I learn something could be anything, Ben, could be anything. I just feel excited because I learned something new. And I think we're gonna go, to another place without learning so much. So I think the most you can learn, it doesn't matter what, could be something very simple, very different. I feel great. So back to your question, I don't know. It's just I like living life. I like to be myself. I like to be approachable. I like to learn. And I think when I find myself in a place when I'm learning something, when I'm connect with others, I think that's the bring the best of me. That's why, people point this out, and sometimes I get so excited that when I'm editing the interview, I go like, my God, what have I said? Or what have I, you know what I mean? Sometimes I get overexcited. So I think it's about being myself. And when I had the opportunity to sit here and connect, imagine how amazing it is for you to sit and talk to random people around the globe.
Mm.
For me, it's fascinating. So I think it brings the best of me. So the Magic Box, the show brings the best of me for sure. So yeah, that's my answer for you. Very simple and easy, but it's a genuine answer. So yeah,
Yeah. Nice. That makes sense. Like it connects so much with that vibrant childhood love learning, and when you're
yeah,
meeting new people in all these walks of life, different professions, you're always going to be learning and
it's
taking.
amazing.
It's like similar. I mean, when you go away, you travel. It's like you
Yeah,
can't go somewhere you've never been before without picking up something new.
yeah.
And
Thanks again. Thanks for taking the time for the interview. Thanks for being so kind and sweet and accept my invitation. And before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
positive message that I live by. Uh, Beauty needs a witness.
Wow.
Which is not my phrase. It's from a man named Zan Perrion. Right? He uses it exclusively for women, but I take it and when I say beauty needs a witness, I apply it to life, to everything.
Wow.
And I feel like that's something that we're always. And I think beauty is a better thing to seek than happiness because happiness is always going to be temporary, but beauty. It's why I do a lot of the work is based off Zen. The whole point of Zen was finding beauty in the most ordinary activities, the most ordinary things.
Totally. Amazing.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Regards to your family and friends, and you keep in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
You too.
Okay. Have a good night.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.